Hey guys, Zach at ZR Chess, and going over some pawn mechanics today and how they pertain to the endgame, especially with just pawns and kings. So we're looking at this specific structure today with pawn in front and then another one with king in front. And we're going to show how they work together. So we'll go ahead and start. Now, pawn in front just doesn't work. Ever. Rule of thumb, pawn in front does not work because if black plays right or your opponent plays right, no matter what color they are, then they can get a draw on this and you're not going to promote your pawn. So we'll see why this happens here. For instance, king d5, then the king is going to mirror it. And what's normal is we push the pawn up, he comes to the center, we go here, and then, he's got to move one of these three places, so he moves back. And from here, whichever way we push, he's going to go the same direction. And we can keep doing this over and over. When we try to push our pawn to the end, king goes to e8 and is blocking this right here. And once we go here, that's a draw. So once we go here, that's a draw, and he has no other place to move. So stalemate. If we got the pawn in front, it's not going to work. Rule of thumb. Now, king in front is the opposite. King in front, we can promote every time as long as there's no other pieces on the board. And as long as we're not on the side, we'll have to talk about that as well. So king in front, what we're trying to do is just push our king down the board. And once we get to this scenario here where we can't go farther, we're going to bring the pawn up behind. And whatever way he goes, we're going to go the opposite way. And he might come here, and then that's fine. We're just going to come here with check. He has to go back up. And then we go here. And now whichever way he goes, we can just bring this pawn down. We're protecting these three squares. Our king is happy, and that king can't touch it. So even if we start off way back here, and let's say my king's here, and he just barely gets in front, right? We're still going to make this work because we're going to come to the side, just like we were before, and push the enemy king back. So from here, he doesn't have any option except to do that. And if he instead chooses to come back, then we're just going to bring the king up, and it starts all over with the king in front. And then we can just go ahead and bring this pawn in for promotion. So that is how we do that with the king in front. So remember, king in front is good, you will get a promotion, and pawn in front is bad, you will not be able to win. It will be a draw. So oftentimes if you see that, you can go ahead and just draw unless you think your opponent might miss it and make a mistake, which is always possible depending on what level you're playing in. I've got one more bonus one I wanted to show you on here just because it's very cool, and it's the king and two pawns over here, and our king is over here unable to help before this king gobbles up our two pawns. So what do we do? This is a winning position for white, believe it or not, because the king can't take either of these pawns. What we're going to do is we're going to bring our king over to help out, and if the king tries to take one of these, we're going to push the other one. Now he has to choose. If he does take this, we go on to promote, and he can't catch us. He's too late. So maybe he will come back, and then we can come here. And if he tries again to push, then we push the other pawn. And he's gonna have to do something, come back to block, and then we come in the king again, and he has to move back. And now we can start bringing the king in, even in the center here, to get the win. And the king's going to carry those pawns to victory. So don't be discouraged if you ever see something like this. The pawns can protect themselves by threat of promotion if there's no other pieces on the board, and allow time for your king to come in and save the day. That's all I have for you today. I just want to show you guys that because I think it's very cool. I think it's very crucial and fundamental for endgame theory with pawns. And so I hope you learned something. Thanks, guys.